final stretch of land. We're in the final, we're right there. We're in the Final Four. We are there. We finally made it. I know the journey has been probably most inconsistent, but we're there. Hey everybody, I'm Cortez and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We are at the end of our journey, the last division, the AFC South, of the 2025 draft recap. And the time of this recording, training camp has been officially going. Some players sadly have been reported with injuries. A lot of the rookies have not been signed. Looking at you, Cincinnati, by the time of this recording. So who knows, that might change. And we're about a few weeks away from basically preseason and of course the start of the new NFL season. And we're going to conclude our journey by talking about the division that's not best for last, because they actually have some surprisingly bright spots and a lot of impact on what the AFC itself could look like. So I decided we start with the AFC South with the team that got the number one pick in the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee got the number one pick, but will it be enough? I don't know. But let's find out. So the Tennessee Titans have, they've been through a lot. I mean, this is another time where they're going through another unique season with a new quarterback. We all remember I think it was the 2015 draft class with Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, Tampa and Tennessee. Finding out they played each other in week one, and Tennessee looked like they were superior, and Tennessee actually won a playoff game with their overall pick quarterback than Tampa ever did. So I guess Tennessee can say they won that one. But then once again, Mariota's injury kind of probably hurted Tennessee's potential future. So they sadly had to part ways and make a drastic decision. And then, of course, you know, the mayonnaise man himself, Will Levis, comes in from Kentucky. And I honestly had high hopes on the guy. I honestly thought he was an opportunity. But last year alone really made me feel like, how was this guy considered so good? I've always had this notion of quarterbacks that are highly viewed, because sometimes you feel like how much was the team and how much was the program and how much was the individual. And when it comes to quarterbacks, we've seen success like with Roethlisberger and Joe Flacco, who came from Miami, Ohio, and Delaware. But then we see the bigger name schools like the Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia, and they don't really hit. So it's weird of a situation when it comes to a draft evaluating quarterback, that sometimes it's not really even a divine science. Sometimes it's really just, you know, a whistle and a prayer kind of thing. So, and then here we are again, that Tennessee basically was put in a situation where you kind of had to make a decision. Will you give Will Levis another chance and take Travis Hunter, who would have been the most exciting player by default, plus it would have given people in Tennessee something more exciting to happen since the day they got moved from the Houston Oilers to the Tennessee Titans back in the late 90s. But they made the decision, and with a ceremonial of a Hall of Fame quarterback himself and Warren Moon, let's do it. With the number one overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Cameron Ward, you want to be polite, quarterback, the U Hurricanes. So, with the number one overall pick, it is hard to make the argument of saying, well, they missed the opportunity. They had the number one pick. They got the first choice of the buffet. They were there. So, I have to ask the question to the Tennessee fans and to those that watch the channel, by the way. Thanks for watching. Do you feel like this was a case of best availability of this draft class? They needed a quarterback, so they kind of had to pull the trigger. Or do you really believe that Cam Ward is going to translate to a success for the Tennessee Titans? I feel like Tennessee still has a lot of question marks on their team, and I'll explain towards the end that I feel like a lot of it is still stuck together with former great players, you know, past their prime, glue, duct tape, chewing gum. Tennessee is still, without Derrick Henry really being the main focal point, I hate to say, but I know business savvy stuff, but Derrick Henry, if he was still on Tennessee, I think could have made Cam Ward's rookie season potentially more profitable, because I think they thought that what Will Levis was going to do, but Will Levis proved he couldn't do it. And now we got Cameron Ward and Derrick Henry succeeding in Baltimore for going to his second year. I feel like Tennessee is once again giving another young quarterback, like they did with Levis, the keys to the mansion, the keys to the car, the keys to the ship, but doesn't have a good supporting staff around him. I don't know how much expectation you can thought from Cam Ward. I think after what Daniels did with Washington Commanders, a lot of people are thinking, we want that. We want our, Cam Ward, we want our Jalen Daniels type approach. When Tennessee, this could literally be, remember, I'm not going to put pressure on Ward more than he already has. Troy Aikman didn't have a great rookie season. Neither did Peyton Manning. Now, that's a nice way of saying that if the rookie sucks, at least you can hope that second year it's better. But with the AFC South as it is, basically everyone has a brand new quarterback that are barely 2 or 3, 5 years old. I think the oldest quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, and he's not really that old. I don't know. Tennessee, I feel like they have a lot more fold, but they had to make the splash. So getting the number 1 overall pick and getting the quarterback, I think a lot of us can honestly say no brainer. I think we all would have done it. Some of us probably would have taken the Travis Hunter approach and maybe roll the dice on Will Levis that maybe he will do better. But I think we all can agree it was either Cam Ward or Travis Hunter. So they addressed the offense, and then in the second round, they addressed the defense. With the 52nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Olumfa Olaje, edge, UCLA. I butchered that man's name. But going to the position focus they're going for, when I think of Tennessee, I can't think of really defense. I know they got, players from the past, but even now, looking at their roster, which they're going to a 3-4 defense, which I feel like that's going to benefit him. Jeffrey Simmons might be the best defensive player on it. Everyone else seems like a combination of, let's wait and see. They traded for Snead. They gave money in Snead, and he didn't really show out. To the point that some Tennessee fans thinking, maybe it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs can develop these players, but they can't take the best. We have seen players go from New England to other teams, and then they don't thrive, but they got those big, thick contracts, and then you find out 2 or 3 years later, they're back in New England, succeeding again. So sometime maybe it's the system, it's the scheme, it's the staff, maybe it's the weather that just fits better. So we'll see what happens with Snead, but looking at the rest of the Tennessee defense, no one really screams, yay. And even then, Adrian Key is still viewed as a strong side linebacker behind this rookie. Doesn't mean he's not going to play. We'll see how much impact he gets done. But Tennessee felt like we had to address the quarterback. Done. Now let's address the defense. And I think sacking quarterbacks and getting a quarterback is probably the first 2 picks that most teams that are going through a rebuild or trying to get a new identity will go for. You want a quarterback to captain the offense, to make, your C- players potentially into B+ and higher, and the quarterback can help elevate that, plus the morale around it. And when it comes to defense, I would probably say a pass rusher or a good, secondary player, either a shutdown corner or, ball hawking safety might be the way to go. Someone that can help eliminate a certain aspect of the game. If you have a pass rusher that can sack quarterback, that helps the secondary out. If you have a corner that can shut down the number 1 receiver, that helps out with the pass rushing department because the number 1 receiver is being contained by a strong DB. So this was obviously trying to find some sense of a captain on one side and then another captain on the other side. Now we all know that Ward probably is going to get the key day 1, but that doesn't mean that our rookie from UCLA here, Olagio, I'm going to butcher that player's name so bad, could not make an impact right away, especially for a Tennessee defense that really has no identity. Then we go to the 3rd round, and with the 82nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Kevin Winston Jr., safety, Penn State. Now, Winston Jr. was another player that I've heard that he probably could have gone higher, but injuries probably derailed his potential trajectory. So if that's the case and the report be true, then they basically got potentially a top 2nd round pick at number 82. And I think this goes back to what I just said earlier about it. You get a good sacking quarterback. We need probably the next best thing for a defense is a good DB. And you got Winston Jr. of Penn State, who I thought Penn State was probably one of the most complete defenses of last year's college football season. I'll probably say more than Ohio State, even though Ohio State won. But the big thing that Ohio State had that Penn State didn't was a more consistent quarterback play in William Howard versus what Penn State had. And if you think about it, Penn State and Ohio State almost had a similarity. The biggest factor was Howard's quarterback play was a lot better than Penn State was. But other than that, Penn State defense was probably the biggest reason, and they probably should have gone further. But the quarterback play was really derailed them in the worst possible times. So to me, getting Winston for Tennessee, like I said, sack the quarterbacks, get a pass, get a DB. They were following the steps that I would have taken if I need to rebuild a brand new team to compete, because the AFC South is not completely without reach. I mean, the Texans didn't really run away with it, but you cannot be too far behind when Texans and Jacksonville have looked like they're about to reload and make a push, and you might be hoping to get at least third place in a division that, let's be real, maybe one team might make the playoffs, even with record high, because everyone else in the AFC is gutting, especially the North. That's going to be much difficult. But Tennessee needs to make a statement, and the big thing is, win your division might be your best bet. So for all I know, this player they're picking up, especially the defensive side, is designed to counter the threat of their own division. And with Winston Jr., I'll take that approach. Then we go to the fourth round. With the 103rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Jameer Dyke, wide receiver, Florida. Okay, if I mispronounced the name, I do apologize. But I think we can really say that the Burks from Arkansas pick didn't really work out. And A.J. Brown going to Philadelphia was foolhardy. It was foolhardy, I say. And right now, this is the Tennessee's receiving core. Calvin Ridley, former first-round pick out of Alabama to Atlanta. Tyler Lockett, a former pick from the Seattle Seahawks. Burks, Van Jefferson, Maxine Kelsey, Bryce Oliver, Jaquan Jackson. A lot of players that feel like are trying to find this feels probably for a lot of these wide receivers their last chance of some sense of consistent employment and a place they can call home. Not saying that some of these players could not thrive in, but they're all here, and a lot of them were like, you were stars way before you came here. And we all know how that looks at paper, where it's like either you were too expensive to keep or you weren't making enough impact to stay. And sometimes happen to be the latter of those conversations. That they'll be like, no. And Burks, who was supposed to be the guy after the A.J. Brown trade, let's just say his start was not great. And basically became known for the awkwardness of his acceptance of his draft selection video that I feel like has more attention than Burks ever had on the field. So we'll see what they're going to do. But right now, I feel like for them, they addressed the offense with the quarterback, and they definitely addressed the two key aspects of the defense. So now it becomes a case, and it really shows here in the next few picks, this is all meant to benefit the offense, to make Ward rookie season a much easier transition. Who knows where to go, but we cannot make him go out there with no support. Because, clever segue, 17 picks later, still in the fourth round. With the 120th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Gunnar Helm, tight end, Texas. Always felt like a tight end is a rookie's quarterback best friend. Seriously. They're big, so you can throw the ball high. They're physical, so they won't, be like, oh no, the ball. They'll be like, give me the ball. And also, they're not always going deep half the time. That they're always looking at 5-7 yard routes, and they're always meant to go against linebackers, so they can outrun a linebacker with enough speed. Therefore, you get a safety valve, and they're always meant to be like, go short, give me checkdowns. So a rookie tight end seems to be the way to go for it. And you get one from Florida, I can't help but feel like this seems to be like another acquisition pick. Now, looking at Helm, sorry, I was looking at the Florida wide receiver I was talking about earlier. He is due to the third pick, but let's remember, he was a big part of the Texas run during their playoff run. I think besides Golden, he probably was the number 2 wide receiving threat for the Texas Longhorns. At least he got the most attention. So I feel like he's 6'5", 240. I'm going to put him on the realm as he's a thick receiver. That probably, even though he's viewed as the number 3 guy, I think he is probably viewed as potentially in the slot, go into receiving position more, because he's 240 for a 6'5" receiver. That just sounds like a thick. He loses 20 pounds. He's a wide receiver. So I'm going to put Helm as a thick receiver, and I feel like he's meant to be more of a receiving threat than a blocker, while the other 2 tight ends do it. So don't be surprised if Helm becomes Ward's go-to guy in the first 10 weeks of the season. Don't be surprised. And funny enough, still in the 4th round, with the 136th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Alec Amare, wide receiver, Stanford. So, like I said, after they got the defense address, they're getting basically the best available player from respective positions to ultimately give Cam Ward chemistry. We saw that with Caleb Williams last year with the Bears, where they got veterans and rookies in to come in to help him out. We see a lot of players going into the 3rd or 1st or their 2nd and 3rd year, and they're still getting new weapons, new toys, because they want to develop. I feel like the key for a good quarterback to go into the NFL is to give him reliable veterans for leadership and young receivers that they can develop chemistry for the next 10 years. Everybody wants the Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, the Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, even the Brady, Gronkowski, Drew Brees, Jimmy Graham. Everybody still wants that. Everybody wants that quarterback wide receiver duo that basically can throw. And you get lucky and you get 2 other receivers like some people did. I mean, I'm sure Brady was happy when he had Godwin and Mike Evans. I'm sure Joe Burrow is happy with Higgins and Chase. So if that's that makes it better for them. So to me, this is meant for depth, because I honestly believe the receiving core is based on probably seniority versus actual just malice of skill. So to me, this could potentially be a go-to receiver. I mean, we all know that everyone's an Mboku. I mean, not Mboku. That's the Ohio State. I'm drawing blank on his name. The Rams wide receiver from BYU, the one that I am drawing a blank on his name. Puka Nacua. Thank you. Wow. Brain malfunction. Puka Nacua. So everybody wants a Puka Nacua on their own. Who knows? Maybe this could be the Tennessee's Puka Nacua. I mean, he's already viewed as the number 2 guy in the rotation, so just make impact preseason. Then we go to the 5th round. With the 167th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Jackson Slater, offensive guard, Sacramento State. Now, I've always felt like the later pick comes in, a lot of it has become more of a raw potential. Later picks. If you're a DB late round pick, probably your athleticism and your speed is make you valuable for potential special teams. If you're a wide receiver, special team contributor, 3rd down slot, you must have like a fast, quick turn or something there. Running backs, must have some intangible that's raw. And then you add that to a smaller school like Sacramento State. I can't help but feel like you are probably the best of your level, every level of competition. Plus, you have raw potential. So, and Jackson Slater is viewed as a left guard, so he's probably going to stay inside, and this is probably for raw potential and definitely for running the ball. Now remember, he's a backup, but that doesn't mean he can't get rotation. That doesn't mean he could develop into something else later. That doesn't mean anything. But going from a small school, late round pick, can't help but feel like there's raw potential for something greater. And an offensive line to protect your rookie quarterback always screams, 10 years down the road of protection. So learn the quarterback cadence, learn how he holds himself, learn his mannerisms, develop for the future. So yes, he went from a small school, but that doesn't mean he is a small guy. Physically and, respectability also, if I meant there too. Then in the 6th round, with the 183rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Marcus Harris, cornerback, California. So, like I said before about DBs, raw athleticism is probably the big key factor in there. Probably some time to development. Doesn't be rushed in, but if he can run down the field and make special team tackle, that's how he probably gets a roster spot. And when it comes to Tennessee, where the defense is kind of like a phantom, no name identity, who knows? And right now they have Harris as the right cornerback, as number 3. So, okay, so he's not meant to develop right away, but that doesn't mean he can't make impacts. He'll probably get a lot of looks in preseason, because we all know the stars barely play in preseason. And he makes his mark on special teams. He keeps himself a roster spot, and he develops over time. Just because you pick here, but we all know that more than likely they'll probably pick for their athleticism. Harris must have a quick 2-step, must have a good physicality. He must have some raw intangibles. Be like, he may not be good at this, but boy, he can run, he can jump, he can grab, he can tackle. We'll develop his skills around it, but his greatness is his speed, his hands, his mannerisms, his Portuguese. I don't know. Something about him makes him so great that it's raw, but it's worth taking the risk. And then 5 picks later to conclude the Titans rebuild process in the 6th round with the 188th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans selected Kalen Mullins, running back, Michigan. This guy, I felt like had his breakout game basically against Alabama and Ohio State. And him get drafted on basically going against probably the top 2-tier teams. I mean, the Ohio State one was clearly him. That was his best game. I think he was named player of the game that day. In a game that was incredibly low scoring, but incredibly entertaining in that regard too. And he got a spot. And I think honestly, just watch the Ohio State tape and say this is the one thing we can show of him. I think that probably what got him the draft pick. Tennessee saw his tenacity, saw his focus, saw his work ethic, saw that he wasn't trying to break a big one. He was just I'm following fundamentals. And Tony Pollard is the go-to guy, but running back by committee is the way to go, and any new running back. And I think Mullins did such a great job in the Ohio State game that I think he proven himself to be worth the take. Because Mullins got opportunity and took advantage of it. And Tennessee feels like if he gets opportunity here, he'll take advantage of it, and he won't disappoint us. So, and honestly, we have no idea what our future. We have no idea what our offense is going to be. Are we going to be a run-heavy first offense to help benefit Ward, or we're going to let Ward rip it? We don't know. And how much of Ward we're going to see is the Washington State Cam Ward, or is it the Alabama, or is it the Miami Hurricane Ward? We don't know what we're going to see. So Mullins getting his opportunity. I'm rooting for the guy. I'm not going to lie. I like what he did. And that is the Tennessee Titans draft. The grade I give to Tennessee, a grade that I have not given a lot of teams in quite some time, but I kind of help. It's appropriate. Sorry, guys, and sorry, people of Tennessee. Love you, but you're getting a not yet. I don't think the Tennessee Titans, with all the players they got, is prepared to make any noise, make any threat. Could they potentially win a game or two? Hell, they could probably win 3, one of every game. Colts, Texans, Jags? Yes. But then again, I thought they can do that last year too. Right now, a lot of the question mark is like in every first overall pick is the quarterback. And what Daniels did in Commanders last year as the number 2 overall pick, and Caleb Williams, pressure on a quarterback being drafted in the first round or even the second round is a lot of pressure. And you're the number 1 guy. You have that war. I mean, like I said, Moon gave you his approval about wearing number 1, so no, even more pressure on your shoulders, young man. But looking at everything else, Tennessee, the division, too many question marks for me to be confidently say you're better. If I say better, I'll be lying, because a lot of these players that are coming in here are not even given the potential starting job on the mock depth chart. Could they happen? Possibly. But right now, Tennessee, I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready yet. Not yet. We got to see where the season goes. And honestly, let's give Ward time, please. Give Ward time. And the player I'm most excited about is, of course, number 1 overall pick. I mean, you're the number 1 overall pick. How can I not put you as the most favorite player to look at to? Got to see what you can do. And I got to see what you do in preseason, which the question becomes, how much do you play in preseason? I remember when the Bucks had Jameis Winston in the preseason, and he had like 8 passes, 8 plays, and he was done. And then he played Tennessee, and we kind of showed what the next 5 years was going to be. So you probably won't know what Ward's going to be at least until week 4, week 5, possibly. I mean, Daniels was still trying to figure himself out until like week 6, I think it was. So it's going to be a growing pain, guys. You got the number 1 pick. It's a quarterback. It's going to be growing pains. But I'll be lying by saying do not be excited. Be excited. Be excited. It's cool to have it because there's always that potential that he could be great. It's always that potential to be great. And what's funny is that we have 2 quarterbacks that were first picks on different teams, and they're thriving in their other team, in Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. So that doesn't mean she's garbage. It just means that it just takes some time. Just hopefully it doesn't lead to a different team to do that. So, and that is the Tennessee Titans. We are done with the Titans, and now we're continuing down the rest of the AFC South, and we're going to go to the Indianapolis Colts because they have a bigger quarterback question. The sad thing is they already drafted their quarterback already, and now they're having buyer's remorse. So next time we'll be talking about the Colts of Indianapolis on the 2025 draft recap. Until then, I am Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.